Hello everybody, welcome back to C&S Corvettes in beautiful sunny Sarasota, Florida. It's your Corvette buddy Lyle and Steve, the owner of C&S Corvettes, and today we are going to be covering a subject that has seen some pretty dramatic changes in the last few years. This is going to be our 2026 overview of the C3 Corvette market. As you guys know, the Corvette market, especially the older car market, has been on kind of the same upward trajectory for about 30, 40 years. You know, with the nostalgia movement, all the 60s and 70s cars going up, up, up in value, looked like it was never going to end. But over the last few years, we've seen a change in that. And specifically with the C3s, we're going to talk about what changes we have seen. And we're going to go start at the beginning with the 68 and work all the way through 82. So first cars we're going to address are what we call the bumper cars, the 68 to 72 cars that had chrome bumpers at both ends. Personal favorite of both Steve and myself, but we are seeing changes in how those cars are selling and how those cars are being priced. Steve, you were recently at the Corvette Expo up in Pigeon Forge. Tell me some of what you saw up there.
Yep, great show, lots of cars, all different flavors. The thing that was notable to me was that the bumper cars, they were on a pretty strong upward swing because, of course, the C1s and C2s had gotten so expensive that the logical following was for the C3s to do the same. And they seem to be on that trajectory. I was a little disappointed in seeing what their values appeared to be. And this is my own personal opinion. From the cars that I saw, this is not to predict the market, but used to be that a pretty nice C3, and you go, yeah, I wouldn't mind driving that car, would bring $30,000 plus or minus. Not a super special car, not an L88, not that kind of thing. What I saw there is you can buy a pretty nice car today for the mid to upper teens. I never expected to see that turn. That's not to say that some of these cars aren't bringing and worth $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, but they're special cars. They're not just another Corvette. I don't know where the market's going to go from here. It seems like more people are doing resto mod kind of stuff to these cars, which kind of minimalizes the importance of originality. And of course, the resto mod cars get crazy expensive because of the crazy expense that goes into building one. Everybody sees one of them sell for $100,000, $150,000, $200,000, and they go, boy, that's a lot of markup. They don't realize that's about what it costs to build the car. Anyway, to the point, I think that the market has toned down immensely. I hope it doesn't continue to do that. And it kind of rebounds a little. It's nice to see the cars not crazily priced, but by the same token, it takes a lot of money to have a nice car, to make it a nice car, and I'd like to see people get remunerated for that. Your thoughts?
I agree with you. I think there are several reasons that we're seeing a dip in the 60s and early 70s cars in particular. Part of it is the people who have nostalgia for those cars are kind of aging out of the hobby.
Yes.
They can't get in them. They can't drive them. They're physically not well enough to enjoy them anymore, or they can't work on them themselves, which makes the car unaffordable. It's not just Corvette. You're seeing prices on Camaros and Chevelles and other things also trending downward for the first time in recent memory. So I think that's something that is, if you've wanted one of these cars and they were just always out of reach for you, you may want to start watching these things on Bring a Trailer or eBay or Facebook Marketplace or whatever sales outlet you trust, and start following what these cars actually are bringing today, because the dream that you thought might never come true might become a reality in the not too distant future.
And you have to pay attention to when you just said it correctly, what the cars are actually bringing, not what you see them advertised for on eBay or any of the other venues. Go to the sold section and see what cars sold and how much they actually sold for. I think it'll be a surprise.
Yeah. So that's 68 to 72, sorry. And those are pretty much the most desirable C3s as far as collectors go. Now we get into a couple of years that are kind of the oddballs, the standalones that had some stuff that no other cars had during that run. The 73 and the 74. Obviously, the 73 was the first year and the only year for chrome bumpers at the rear and urethane bumper up front. 1 year only. Still had small block and big block versions available. 74 also last year of the big block and had urethane bumpers on both ends. But if you ever see the back of a 74 Corvette, it's got this split right down the middle because instead of one solid urethane rear bumper, it was two panels that kind of overlapped, which is a weird 1 year only thing. I have mixed thoughts on the 73 value, and I'm not sure about the 74 value, so I'm going to let Steve answer this one first.
The 73s, I think, carry more value than the 4s because they are really, really unique. Even though the 74 had its special rear bumper, it had the same design rear bumper as 75, 6, 7, and up. The 73s, I think, are unique and they're going to hold their value a little better. Those cars are staying affordable. I don't think we're going to see them reach the pinnacle that like a 69 big block might reach. But they are going up in value. They were kind of the redheaded stepchild for a while. But people really do enjoy the shape of the car, the aesthetics of the car. No, they're not a race car, but they are fun to drive. And they're a good-looking car. So I think they're going to hold their value pretty good while not skyrocketing.
I agree. And I think part of that is because their price, as Steve said, never got overblown in the market to begin with, you're not seeing the kind of fallback from that pinnacle.
Exactly.
They're just kind of consistent, and they are. If you like 73s, there is no other C3 like them, and they're instantly recognizable to anybody as a 73. What are your thoughts on the 74?
The 74 is not my personal favorite. The differences between it and a 75, 6, 7 car are marginal. I shouldn't think of it as a lesser car. I do, but it doesn't deserve that. They were still pretty nice cars. And all of those cars in this particular vintage are priced such that the average guy can buy one and have it and enjoy it. They're easy to fix compared to the newer cars, of course. And if you're any kind of a wannabe mechanic anyway, there's a lot of stuff that you can do on those cars, which isn't true on the new stuff. So I like those cars for what they are.
I agree. The 74 has never been one of my favorites either. I just kind of, mentally, I kind of always skip over the 74. And it's not, as Steve said, it's not that it's a bad car. It's just kind of in that no man's land. Yes. For me. The fact that you can still get a big block is pretty cool, but I mean, horsepower in the big block in 74 was like what?
Equal to about a Toyota Camry today.
Yeah, like 2.25 horse or something like that. It made a lot of noise and a lot of heat and drank a lot of fuel, but it didn't go anywhere really. That brings us now to, we're going to group the 75, 76, and 77 kind of together. 75 was the last year of the convertible until 1986. But those 3 years are kind of very similar in that they were among the lowest horsepower offerings ever in the Corvette run due to the fuel crunch and emissions and a bunch of other factors. I'm going to go first on this one. The 75, 6, and 7, other than like a really beautiful 75 convertible that was all original and had all the awards and stuff, those have always kind of been the least expensive C3s that you could buy and still get a decent car for relatively little money. They have all the same foibles and all the same maintenance needs as any other C3, but the cost of entry was always the lowest on those. And if you didn't care about, having 165 horses instead of 580, if you didn't care about not having shiny bumpers on each end, it was the best deal. And today probably still is the best deal you can get in a C3. Some of the drawbacks to these cars are, unlike the 78 and up cars that had the big back window, cargo space is
non-existent.
We'll call it limited. And still had the 75 and 76 still had the dash that sloped away from you, whereas in 77 kind of was like a hybrid between the earlier and the later interior, had the newer dash and stuff. But those cars, again, I haven't seen them go up or go down in quite some time. So if you just want a C3 that you want to putt around and enjoy, or if you want to buy a C3 and put a big motor in it or do an LS swap or do something like that, these 3 years are the best years to do it in, because you're not paying for something super special to then destroy what made it special. Yeah, your thoughts?
I agree wholeheartedly with that. I think that the 75, 6, 7 cars, in my own mind, are all the same car. They had very, very little change to them. You see one on the street, you have to look at the emblems. You have to look at the really minor details to see the difference. They all had pretty much the same reliability, the same problems, the same everything. So in my mind, those are all together. And as Lyle said, they're good cars for doing fun things with.
Agreed. 78 to 82.
Big back window cars.
Big back window cars, and some of the biggest changes that would occur in the C3 during its lifetime. So, Steve, give us your take on some of the changes and some of the upgrades that were made and where they're going.
Very big changes through those years. From the 78, which was the introduction of the big back window, all the way up to the 82, which was the Crossfire. 81 and 82 had computer controls in them for fuel management, which turned out to be, in today's world, kind of a nightmare. But it was a lot of changes for those cars to go through. I think that the 81, 82 cars, or 80 to 82 cars, are a pretty user-friendly car, other than the computer issues, still very, very workable for the individual owner. They worked a lot of the bugs out of the cars. They seem to be a much tighter driving car. You feel more encompassed, more part of the car than some of the earlier stuff that was a little crude and you felt kind of like you were riding on a wagon. So the later stuff, if you want to drive the car on a regular basis, the 80 to 82 is a pretty good choice.
I agree. They had the ride really sorted out. Again, they stopped trying to be a hardcore sports car sometime in the mid 70s and became more of a grand tourer at the end, I think.
But all they changed was springs and spring rates. It's still the same frame configuration.
It is.
The same A-arm configuration, the same trail arm in the rear, all the same stuff. But they did tune it through suspension tweaks.
Yeah, and made it more soft and kind of...
Yeah, instead of a racer's car, more of a driver's car.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. I think one of the big things that is different when we get to the 78 to 82 cars is, so the nostalgia crowd for the late 60s and very early 70s crowd, as we've said, are kind of aging out of the hobby. When you get into the late 70s and early 80s, that is an entirely different generation.
Yes, it is.
You're getting into my generation, people in their early to mid 50s, who when I was 10, 11, 12 years old, the 80 to 82 Corvette was the Corvette. And yeah, I've always appreciated those. I love the deep chin on the 80 to 82. I love the little duckbill spoiler on the rear bumper. They just always looked so mean and kind of Batmobile-y to me. So I think you're going to see those values probably stay the same. And maybe, assuming that there are enough people in my generation who still know how to turn a wrench, I think you're going to see those values probably go up in the next 5 years rather than down, just because we're talking about a completely different group of people.
Well, and the thing we have to remember is, and we talk about this frequently here, is that the cool car for today tends to be that car that when you were in high school, within a few years of your high school time, so if you graduated in 1980, the 78 to 82 cars are going to be, your sweet spot because you identify with it.
Agreed. So that is our basic idea on the trends that we can see in the C3 today. I'd be happy to hear your comments below.
Yes.
If you have other ideas or if you're seeing things that we haven't mentioned here, please put them in the comments below so we can discuss them and maybe revisit this in another video in the future. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you for Steve for joining us today, and we'll see you soon.
Have a good one.